The billionaire CEO sat behind his enormous glass desk, scrolling through reports on his tablet. The numbers looked good, better than good. Another quarter of record-breaking profits. His empire was growing, expanding into new territories. But something gnawed at him, an unease he couldn't explain. Then, his phone buzzed. A message. No sender ID. At first, he ignored it. Anonymous messages weren't uncommon for someone like him. He had enemies, competitors, people who wanted to rattle him. But something about this one felt different. A single video file was attached. He hesitated, his gut warning him. But curiosity won. He tapped the screen, and the video played. At first, it was grainy, shaky footage, as if recorded from a distance. Two boys stood outside a convenience store, laughing, chatting. Twins. But not just any twins. His blood ran cold. They looked exactly like him. The same piercing eyes. The same strong jawline. Even their mannerisms, it was like watching himself from years ago. His breath caught. His mind raced. This had to be some kind of trick. A deep fake? A hoax? Someone trying to extort him? Then, the video cut off. A second message appeared on the screen. Find them before they find you. His grip tightened on the phone. Who sent this? And why? He immediately called his assistant. I need this number traced. Now. Sir, there is no number. It's untraceable. A sharp chill crawled down his spine. Something about this wasn't right. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the frozen frame of the twins on his screen. If this was some kind of scam, someone had gone through an extraordinary effort. And then, another call came in. Not from a number. From a private investigator he hadn't spoken to in years. The CEO answered, his voice steady despite the storm brewing inside him. You need to listen carefully, the investigator said, his voice low, urgent. You're not the only one looking for them. The CEO's pulse quickened. What do you mean? Those boys, they aren't just twins. And if you don't find them first, you might not like what happens next. Then the line went dead. The billionaire CEO set his phone down, his heart pounding. He had built a corporate empire from nothing, faced ruthless competitors, outmaneuvered billionaires, and won every battle he had ever fought. But something told him, this was different. This wasn't about business. This was personal. And for the first time in years, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long, long time. Fear. The billionaire CEO sat in his dimly lit office, the video still frozen on his screen. The faces of the twins haunted him, his face, but younger. It wasn't possible. It couldn't be possible. He was careful. Always. No scandals, no loose ends. He had no children. Or so he thought. His fingers hovered over his phone. He could summon his security team, his legal advisors. He could bury this, silence whoever was behind it. But deep down, he knew, this wasn't a hoax. The private investigator's voice echoed in his mind. You're not the only one looking for them. Who else was after these twins? And why? Taking a deep breath, he made a call. Not to his security team. Not to his lawyers. To the only person who might have answers. The call rang twice before a voice answered. I was expecting your call. The billionaire's grip tightened on the phone. Tell me everything. A sigh on the other end. It started over a decade ago. 2 newborn boys, abandoned in a hospital. No records, no birth certificates. Just 2 infants left in the middle of the night, no mother, no father, nothing. The billionaire's stomach churned. Left behind? We did a private investigation years ago, the man continued. The DNA tests were shocking. A 99.9% match to you. Silence. The CEO clenched his jaw. That's not possible. You tell me, the investigator said. They share your blood. But here's the real problem, someone's been trying to erase them from existence. And they have powerful resources. A sharp chill crawled up the billionaire's spine. Who? That's what we don't know. But one thing is certain. Whoever abandoned those boys didn't want them dead. They wanted them hidden. The CEO leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. If these twins were really his, who was their mother? And why had she disappeared? His past was clean. No scandals. No affairs that could have led to this. At least, none that he could remember. And yet, here they were. Two living, breathing pieces of himself. Where are they now? He demanded. That's where things get complicated, the investigator said. They're off the grid. We were tracking them, but 2 days ago, they vanished. Someone else found them first. The billionaire's heart pounded. The warning message replayed in his mind. Find them before they find you. Then we find them first, he said coldly. You sure about that? The investigator asked. Because once you do, there's no going back. The billionaire CEO had built empires. Crushed enemies. Controlled everything. But for the first time in his life, he had no control over what was coming next. And something told him, his world was about to change forever. The billionaire CEO's private jet sliced through the sky, heading toward an undisclosed location. He didn't have time to waste. Whoever took the twins had a head start, and he needed to close the gap. The investigator had given him a lead, a place the boys had been seen last. A foster home in a small town, 2 days before they disappeared. He sat in his leather seat, staring out the window, lost in thought. Who would take them? And why? Every scenario ran through his mind: ransom, blackmail, corporate sabotage. But none of it made sense. If someone wanted to use the twins against him, why erase them instead of exposing them? And then there was another possibility. What if the twins weren't meant to be found at all? A chilling thought settled in his chest. What if this wasn't about him? What if this was about them? His phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. He hesitated before opening it. Turn back before it's too late. No sender. No trace. His heartbeat quickened. Someone knew he was getting close. The jet landed an hour later, and a black SUV was waiting for him. The investigator sat in the front seat, a grim look on his face. They were here, he said as the billionaire slid into the car. But they're gone now. The SUV sped off toward the old foster home. The billionaire clenched his jaw. He was getting tired of hearing that. He needed answers. The foster home sat at the edge of town, a weathered 2-story house with peeling paint and broken shutters. The woman who ran it, a frail, elderly caretaker, fidgeted nervously as they questioned her. They were good boys, she said, glancing toward the door, as if afraid someone would hear. Quiet. Smart. Too smart. The billionaire narrowed his eyes. Too smart. They always knew things, she continued hesitantly. Things they shouldn't know. One of them, she paused, swallowing hard. He told me my son would get into an accident before it happened. The investigator shot the billionaire a look. What happened to them? The CEO asked, his voice controlled. The woman hesitated before speaking. They left in the middle of the night. With someone. Who? I don't know, she whispered. But I heard them talking. The boys said they knew they were coming. The billionaire stiffened. How could they have known? The investigator shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, there's more." He handed the billionaire a folded piece of paper. A drawing. Two identical boys, standing side by side. Their eyes glowing. And behind them, a shadowy figure. A single word was scrawled at the bottom: "They found us." A cold wave passed over the billionaire. Someone had taken them. And the twins had known it was coming. His fists clenched. Whoever they were, they made one mistake. They thought they could take what was his. They were wrong. And he was about to prove it. The billionaire CEO sat in the back of his SUV, gripping the drawing tightly. His mind raced. The twins were missing, but they had known they were being taken. Who were they? And what were they hiding? The investigator sat beside him, watching carefully. "This isn't just about missing kids anymore, is it?" The CEO didn't answer. He knew the answer already. Nothing about this was normal. His phone buzzed. Another unknown number. "Stop searching, or you'll regret it." A deep, burning anger flared in his chest. He wasn't the type to be threatened. He turned to the investigator. "Whoever sent that message, trace it. Now." The investigator hesitated. "That's the thing, sir, this message wasn't sent through normal channels. No phone records. No digital footprint. It just appeared." The billionaire's pulse quickened. Just appeared? Something about this felt too calculated. Like someone was controlling the game, moving the pieces before he could react. He exhaled sharply. He needed answers. And he needed them now. Hours later, the investigator called with a lead. "Sir, we found something. A woman. She left a message for you years ago. Buried in old files, never delivered." The billionaire's breath caught in his throat. A woman? Could it be her? They met in an abandoned office building, where the investigator handed him an old USB drive. It was hidden in your company archives, buried under thousands of unrelated files. Someone never wanted you to see this. The billionaire plugged the drive into his laptop. A single video file. The screen flickered, then showed a woman's face. His chest tightened. He knew her. Years ago, she had been everything to him. But she disappeared, without explanation, without a trace. Her eyes looked tired, haunted. She spoke in a trembling voice. "If you're watching this, it means they found me." His stomach clenched. Who? Who found her? She glanced over her shoulder, as if she knew she was being watched. "You need to listen. The twins, they're yours. But they're not like other children. They're special. That's why they were taken. That's why I had to hide them." His pulse pounded in his ears. His children? Special? The woman swallowed hard. There are people, powerful people, who never wanted them to exist. They were supposed to be a secret. A failed experiment. The CEO's hands tightened into fists. She continued, her voice breaking. "They can do things. See things. Things no one should be able to. That's why they were hunted. That's why I had to run." She took a deep breath. "But I couldn't run forever." Tears welled in her eyes. "I know my time is up. And I know they'll come for you, too." A bang echoed in the background of the video. Someone was breaking in. The woman turned to the camera, desperation in her eyes. "Find them before they find you." The screen cut to black. Silence. The billionaire sat frozen, the weight of the truth crashing down on him. The twins were his. And someone had been hunting them since birth. His jaw clenched. No more running. Whoever took them had no idea what kind of war they just started. The billionaire CEO shut his laptop, his mind in turmoil. His children. Special. Hunted. A failed experiment. His hands clenched into fists. What did they do to them? He had built an empire from nothing, outmaneuvered the most ruthless competitors, and won every battle he had ever fought. But this was different. This wasn't about power or wealth. This was about his blood. His sons. And he was going to find them. No matter what it took. His investigator sat across from him, watching carefully. "You look like a man ready to start a war," he said. The CEO's voice was cold. "That's exactly what I'm about to do." The investigator nodded. "Then you need to see this first." He handed over a file, top-secret documents, classified reports, blacked-out names. The CEO scanned them, his eyes narrowing. Project Genesis. A government-backed experiment involving genetic enhancement. Test subjects, children. His breath caught in his throat. The twins. They were part of this, he asked. Not just part of it, the investigator said grimly. They were the only survivors. The CEO's heart pounded. Survivors? Survivors of what? He flipped through the pages. Clinical observations. Unusual brain activity. Advanced cognitive functions. Precognition. They could predict things before they happened. They weren't just trying to clone you, the investigator continued. They were trying to create something more. A hybrid of intelligence and instinct, a new kind of human. A chill ran down the CEO's spine. But one thing still didn't make sense. If they were so valuable, he asked, why were they abandoned? The investigator hesitated before answering. Because the experiment was deemed a failure. And when the government shuts something down, they erase everything. The billionaire clenched his jaw. They tried to erase his children. And now, he asked. Why come after them now? The investigator hesitated. Because, sir, they weren't a failure after all. The CEO's blood ran cold. Their abilities were growing, the investigator explained. They started showing signs of something beyond what was expected. And someone, somewhere, realized what a mistake it was to let them go. The billionaire CEO's mind raced. If the twins were alive, if their abilities were real, then someone was coming to take them back. That night, as the CEO sat alone in his office, his phone buzzed. Another unknown message. They're not yours to protect. His pulse pounded. The lights in his office flickered. A faint noise, like static, filled the air. And then, his laptop screen glitched, showing two words, over and over. Help us. The twins. Somehow, they were reaching out to him. His fists clenched. Whoever had them thought they could erase them. Control them. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. A slow, determined smile spread across the billionaire's face. They were wrong. And he was about to prove it. The billionaire CEO's fingers hovered over his laptop keyboard, staring at the words flashing on the screen. Help us. His pulse pounded. It had to be them, the twins. Somehow, they were reaching out. But how? His phone vibrated. Another message. Find the lighthouse. Lighthouse? What lighthouse? He turned to his investigator. Find every lighthouse within a 100-mile radius. Now. The investigator hesitated. Sir, there's something else. We traced the earlier threats, the ones telling you to stop looking. The billionaire narrowed his eyes. And? The investigator exhaled sharply. They didn't come from a person. The CEO stiffened. What do you mean? They came from a signal. What kind of signal? Something that moves. It's not coming from one device. It jumps, satellites, servers, random networks. Almost like it's alive. A cold chill crawled up the CEO's spine. Help us. Find the lighthouse. It wasn't just a message. It was a warning. And time was running out. Hours later, the SUV screeched to a stop near an abandoned coastal town. Fog rolled over the waves, swallowing the landscape in thick gray mist. And there, at the edge of a rocky cliff, stood a lighthouse. The billionaire stepped out of the vehicle, his heartbeat thundering in his chest. He didn't know what he was expecting. But he knew they were here. The wind howled as he approached the rusted metal door. He tried the handle, locked. Then, a whisper, so faint he almost didn't hear it. You found us. The CEO froze. The voice hadn't come from behind the door. It had come from inside his head. His breath caught. What was happening? He took a step back, but the door suddenly unlocked on its own. Slowly, cautiously, he pushed it open. Inside, the lighthouse was dark, damp, and cold. He moved carefully, his steps echoing. Then, movement. From the shadows, two figures emerged. The twins. His heart clenched. They were real. They stood there, identical, his face, his eyes, but younger. And yet, something about them felt unnatural. They were too still. Too controlled. Then, one of them tilted his head. They're coming. The billionaire stiffened. Who? A metallic click echoed behind him. He turned slowly. A gun. Pointed straight at his head. A man in a black suit stepped out from the shadows. Congratulations, the man said, his voice smooth and controlled. You found them. The billionaire's fists clenched. Who are you? The man smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Someone who knows the truth. His eyes flickered toward the twins. They aren't human, he said. And they don't belong to you. The billionaire CEO didn't move. The cold barrel of the gun pressed against his forehead, but he barely felt it. His focus was locked on the twins. They stood there, calm, unmoving, unnatural. The man in black smirked. I'd tell you to say goodbye, but you were never supposed to know they existed. The billionaire's jaw clenched. You think you can just erase them? The man shrugged. It worked once. His stomach churned. Erase them? Had they been erased before? But before he could say another word, one of the twins spoke. We're not going back. His voice was soft but firm. The man in black's smirk faded. You don't have a choice, he said coldly. The twin tilted his head. Yes, we do. Then, the lights flickered. The billionaire's breath caught. A humming sound filled the air, low at first, then growing, vibrating through the walls. And suddenly, the gunman staggered back, gripping his head. What are you doing? The man choked out. The twins remained still, but their eyes darkened, an eerie, electric shift. The billionaire could feel something pressing against his skull, an invisible force, like static in the air. The man in black collapsed to his knees. His gun clattered to the floor. And then, he screamed. It was brief. A single second of pure agony. Then silence. The man slumped forward, unconscious. The billionaire's heart pounded. He turned to the twins. What was that? One of them blinked. He won't remember this when he wakes up. The billionaire's blood ran cold. You erased his memory? The twins looked at each other, then back at him. We erased what we needed to. A sharp chill crept down his spine. He had built empires. Ruled industries. controlled everything. But he had never controlled something like this. "What are you?" he whispered. The twins exchanged another glance. Then, one of them took a slow step forward. "We were made," he said. "But we were never supposed to exist." The billionaire's fists clenched. "They tried to erase them. They wanted us as tools," the other twin added. "To see the future. To control it." His pulse pounded. To see the future? "And now?" the billionaire asked. The twins exchanged a final glance. "Now, they'll come for you, too." The billionaire exhaled. Let them try. Because no one was taking his sons away from him ever again. The billionaire CEO stood in the lighthouse's eerie silence, his mind racing. The unconscious man in black lay at his feet, but he wouldn't stay down forever. The twins watched him, their faces unreadable. "They know you found us," one of them said. "They're coming," the other added. The billionaire inhaled sharply. This wasn't over. He turned to the investigator, who had been silent until now, eyes wide with shock. "Get the car ready. We leave now." The investigator nodded and rushed out. The billionaire looked back at the twins. "You're coming with me." They didn't move. "You still don't understand," one of them said. "They don't just want us. They want you now too." The billionaire's fists clenched. "Then they'll have to fight me for it." The SUV roared down the coastal highway, cutting through the night. The investigator drove fast, glancing nervously in the rearview mirror. "We need a plan. They'll have roadblocks up soon." The billionaire looked at the twins beside him. "Can you stop them?" One of the boys blinked. "We can slow them down." The other twin turned, staring out the window. "They're already here." The billionaire's blood ran cold. Headlights appeared behind them, several. Black SUVs, sleek, unmarked, and moving fast. The investigator cursed. "They found us." A voice crackled through the car's radio, but it wasn't the investigator's radio. It was theirs. "Hand them over, and you live." The billionaire grabbed the radio. "Come and take them." Silence. Then, gunfire. Bullets shattered the rear windshield. The investigator swerved wildly. "Hold on," he yelled. The billionaire shielded the twins as the SUV skidded through the highway's curves. One of the twins placed a hand on the dashboard. The lights on the pursuing SUVs flickered, then shut off completely. Engines sputtered, tires screeched. Then, the black SUVs skidded off the road, crashing violently. The investigator let out a shaky breath. What just happened?" The billionaire turned to the twins. "You shut them down, didn't you?" The twins didn't answer. But he already knew. They weren't just special. They were something far more powerful. Minutes later, they pulled into a safe house. The investigator locked the doors. "We're clear, for now." The billionaire paced. His mind raced. He needed a real plan. If the government wanted the twins back, they wouldn't stop. And then, he heard it. A soft click. A gun being cocked. He froze. Slowly, he turned. The investigator was pointing a pistol at his head. His trusted investigator. The man who had helped him find the twins. "I'm sorry," the investigator said, his voice steady. "I really am." The billionaire clenched his fists. He had been betrayed.